Well, hello everyone. Greetings to all of our shareholders and those interested in Silver Tiger. It's been a while since I've been able to give an update to our shareholders. We love to keep everyone as up to speed on everything at El Tigre, but as most probably know, on the 27th of January, we accepted a $40 million bought deal financing. We'll talk a little bit about that. I want to give everybody my thought process on that and one of the reasons I want to have the video, but just to get back and let everybody know exactly what's going on at El Tigre too. Brief update on that. But as you know, once we accept that bought deal financing, which closed today, we're precluded from any marketing during that period. So from the 27th of January until today, February 18th, not allowed to do videos, not allowed to do presentations, not allowed to get up on stage. And that was hard for me because we've got so much good happening at El Tigre, but we'll get to that. Um, as people probably saw the next morning on January 28th, we upsized the offering. I'll explain why and how that happened. And then, of course, we ended up today also taking the shoe. So the total raise was 57,500,000 dollars. Now, wasn't planning. I was on the plane on the way home from VRIC, early morning flight. It was a Tuesday morning. It was a wonderful VRIC. I think we all remember it, or those that were there. So much activity. We had all-time highs in gold and silver. And I remember being on the main stage of the silver panel, and we'll get that out to everybody also. We were precluded from sending some of those videos out because we were in a no market zone with respect to the bought deal financing. I remember saying on stage along the lines of, not quoting myself, we're at $120 silver and well over 5,000 in gold. And but I cautioned that there would be, I thought, a step back because nothing goes straight up. And it was very prophetic because shortly after that, as many people know, I wasn't being that smart to do it. The talk of the show really was that there was going to be a pullback of some sort before we saw more increase in the long term. That happened. So I think that making the decision to de-risk the project more by taking the 57 million in the bought deal financing made sense for us. It gives us almost $100 million US in treasury now to execute the plan in a risky world. The demand was incredible. I can talk about that now that it's closed. The book, as we call it, quickly went over $140 million. And I had to make a decision. I want to share with people how this happened. These are never planned, and I think that most investors know that. But for those that don't, I'll share it. I got on the plane that day after a wonderful MIF and then VRIC in Vancouver, and was coming home and looking forward to getting back to marketing. And I got on my plane early morning, heading for Halifax, and a banker from Stifel got in his plane an hour and a half behind me from the airport. And from the plane, I started getting some messages from him. Amazing. Now we're flying at 40,000 feet and we're actually doing business. Him on one plane, I on another, both heading east. Shortly into that flight, that bank, which was Stifel, that's all public, basically offered a bought deal financing of $40 million. I quickly had to do some analysis on that. Was that the right thing to do? Because we're always balancing equity and debt, and we're going to talk more about that. I really want to be transparent on how I made my decision, or I, with the counsel of my management team, we made that decision. So that was on the table. We'll come back to that in a minute about that versus that money versus more debt. And I'll explain my rationale for making the decision. But one thing I'd really like to share is that the demand was incredible, as I said. There was 140 million before the next morning, basically that night almost, when we announced it on January 27th, on the book. 30 institutions. Retail did not get a lot at all, some. And but the quality of some of the institutions was even surprising for me. We saw big U.S. generalist funds looking for big orders. for our silver mine that we're building in Sonora in Mexico. And we hadn't seen that type of interest really since about 2006. So we were very strategic. And think about this. We had 140 million on the roughly on the book. I could have upsized to 80 million or 90 million or 100 million. I mean, that's a stretch, probably not that high. But we chose to upsize by 10 million, about 20%. And how that works, and most people would know, then there's an allocation. Everybody's orders are in, there's 140. If you're only going to give out 50, not everybody's going to get what they want. So we allocated it to what we thought the best way we could. Long only institutions got a good allocation. A good allocation was 30 or 40 or 50% here. Um, and some of the other funds, smaller or newer, had less amounts. What's really nice about this is now that we're closed, and if we execute and these funds didn't get what they wanted in this financing, we're hoping that our performance, our execution, our delivering will make them see the value that can still be created, that they believed in when they put this money in. And so we hope they go back to the market. That's always the plan. We don't know if that'll happen for sure, but I think it was a very successful financing. Could really have not gone much better. And of course, now it's hindsight. I didn't have that hindsight on that plane at 40,000 feet on flying to Halifax in the afternoon of January 27th, that there would be an adjustment. It happened. It came. I thought it would. It was very deep. And, for us, with respect to taking that financing when we did, we think that the timing was good. And I mean, a testament to, where we traded here at deal closing time, and with respect to that we still had the shoe taken up and people left under the over allocation at 15%. What a strong message that that was still taken up at time of closing at $1.17. So, another very strong vote of confidence for El Tigre and for our team that they're going to execute and build this mine on time and deliver. Um, that's what we did. I wanted to explain my rationale. I think it's important. I think it's important that our shareholders who have put their money into stock and bought it in our company understand how we make decisions. Now, there are questions, and we have them from institutional investors, retail investors, always when we do financings, weighing equity against debt. And as I've been very transparent with everybody, I've been working on the debt for over 2 years now. I do not lose any sleep about and it's not my priority. I've told everybody that. We will get to that. It's not been my priority to finalize a debt decision. And I'm glad I didn't, because if I had finalized it a year ago or 8 months ago, it would look very different than it will look when I finalize it. It would not look as good. When we started the discussions with the lenders, we had less than 10 million USD in the bank. Today we have almost 100 million USD in the bank. Remember, we have a surface mine, Stockworks going to build, and push hard on that underground and that beautiful PEA we put out for that, also in January. A lot happened in January. So with respect to that, I will finish the debt negotiation, and it will be very, very good terms for our company. But as we give an update here in a minute, it is not slowing us down. We are fully executing our plan to build El Tigre forthwith. And with 100 million almost US dollars in the bank, you can expect that that's going to go faster, and we're not going to slow down. But let's just talk about, and I want people to understand what debt for a resource company our size, or mainly any size, would look like. It's not being lent by frontline banks. It's not BMO and RBC and those large banks here in Canada. Maybe for Agnico Eagle or for some of the largest mining companies in the world, they can do that, but not any of the companies that you probably invest in that are doing 100, 200, 300, 500, $800 million financings. So to build their mine. Um, the terms are not simply, and when I weigh taking equity, and I think it's important for people to understand, and the dilution that comes with that, uh, against the risk of debt and the cost of debt, I just want people to understand what a debt package for a company like, not ours, but like a junior mining company that's ready to build. They've done all the work, they've got all the permits, they've got the team, what that's going to look like. It's not 5% or 8% or 7% you pay an interest rate. There are layers. The first thing is the interest rate is higher because of risk in mining, and we all understand that. So 8 to 12% plus SOFR would be a very good interest rate. We're trying to negotiate the very best we can. I'm very happy with where we are right now. They don't just do that type of debt for that. They want more. Their total cost of capital is usually in the range of 20%, maybe even higher. We're trying to get lower on the other side of that in our negotiation, which has been going on for 2 years. We keep getting more and more leverage as we de-risk the project, of course. Um, they want possibly they would like a offtake agreement. I don't like those. They would want a streaming agreement. I don't like those. They would want a royalty on the project. The royalty can be negotiated to be very detrimental to the company or very good for the company. They'll want that. They'll basically always, in most cases, want warrants, which is dilution because they have the right to buy stock at a certain price in the future. These are all what is on the table when these negotiations start. And many times they'll want to write a check, their own private financing to come in and buy stock so they have some of the upside as the mine is built. Um, that's what I have to weigh when I decide I'm going to take equity and de-risk the project and give myself much more flexibility and less risk of having debt in a very risky world when you're doing mining over your head. It was clear that we made the decision to take this money. I think it was the absolute right decision. Just like I thought it was the right decision to do when we took that bought deal financing last year. I think it was in November. We did 40 million. And you saw how the stock reacted after we closed. I think we almost doubled. We've got this done now. I'm getting back to marketing and telling the wonderful story about El Tigre. On the debt, I'm not in a rush to announce my debt package. We have 100 million US almost in the bank. We're going and we're going hard. And at some point, we'll bolt on the rest of the equity and, the rest of the debt and or equity that we need to finish this. But that's to the side right now. What's really important right now is what's happening on the mountain. And I think people will want to hear about that. I'm not going to get into a detailed update. I want to come on here in the next couple of days and really sit down and get the verified presentation up and show this, and this. This was more of an update to let you know we're back, why we did what we did. We think it was the right decision, and to give you a brief update on what's happening at El Tigre. So it's business as usual up on the mountain. It's busy. Where the final construction of the re-engineering and upgrade of the 45-kilometer highway we have coming in from Colonial Morales is pretty well finished. Final engineering for the bridge, which is going to be there also is done, and we won't start building that for another quarter or more. So just park that. We don't need it right now. We have full access without it, but we want that to get that done. The camp is basically contractors are mobilizing. We have some clearing starting on the mountain in contemplation of earthworks coming. Just all of the swim sorts of things I talked to about 3 weeks ago, they're just ongoing. A lot of people on the mountain, a lot going on. The next decision I think we're going to make and is going to be, and the most important one for us to make right now is with general, we call it all the general engineering is done. As you remember, KCA, Capscasty, the best, we think, surface mining engineering firm in the world, WSP, also, excuse me, on pads and pit, all of those different things. They're basically done their first run of general engineering. That was delivered probably first week of February. Um, what that did is it moved the project, even though we're PFS, and I got to be careful what I say here, for the build of the surface mine, the stockwork zone, we wanted a little bit more. So if you remember, we started last August when we saw that we were getting close to all the approvals we needed, which we had in November to build. Um, that's all been delivered, and that moves us. I can't say it. Securities lawyer may coming out that we're at feasibility study level, but a lot of the work now for the service mine, the stockwork zone, is at feasibility study like tests, including costing. So that was a big part. The next thing, and we will press release at the right time. Some more work still be done, but we're close. Is to decide if we're going to go EPCM or our own build team. Um, I don't want to, I can't really say which way I'm leaning. I think the decision has been made on that. I think that the street, the market, the investors will be very happy about what we're going to do, but just going to have to wait a little bit longer for us to basically deliver that. I'm not, I'm talking in the short term. And once that is out, boy, do things ever start to ramp up very quickly at El Tigre. Your detailed engineering just starts to take off. Your clock is ticking with the build completion date. So a lot of information to come, but I just want to let everybody know that on the mountain, it is business as usual, and it's been busy. Even though I've not been able to talk or give an update, nothing changed for our team in Mexico and getting El Tigre into production since we took that bought deal on January 27th. So look, a little update. We'll do a more detailed one. That's it. So that's really what I want to say. I've been as transparent as I can. We're always our shareholders. We're always available for any questions they have. I think you know that. You can send them. Devin DeVaron does a wonderful job, mining engineer. Spent a lot of time at El Tigre on the mountain 4 or 5 years, and has now relocated to Toronto because we really need to tell this story all over the world of what we think will be the next silver mine in the world in production. And so you reach out to him. His contact is, of course, on the website, et cetera, et cetera. And any questions, he will get back to you. And if I need to have input, he always talks to me about those. So anyone has questions after this, please send them and we'll get back and we try to be as transparent as possible. What's coming up? I guess I'm getting out of here this week. The big mining show in Miami, the BMO invite only show. We're heading to that. We'll be presenting there. That's going to be an exciting time. What I'll try to do when I settle down there, I think I was talking to Florian Grummy. Some of you may remember the fireside chats we've done. We were scheduled to do one as soon as I was getting back from VR VRIC, but of course, out of nowhere came that financing, and so we had to postpone that. I think we're talking about doing one from the BMO show in Miami, and I'd love to hear his thoughts on where the price went, it's come down, and where he thinks it's going now. I think people find that fascinating, and I'll be able to give a little more detailed update maybe when we do that on El Tigre and our progress there. So look, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to understand the rationale that we used to decide with respect to the financing we just closed, how that allows us to go even faster at El Tigre. And we intend to do that, and to let everybody know really what the next steps were in the process. Rest assured, now that I'm able to talk again and market again, you'll be getting very regular weekly updates on everything that we're doing on the mountain too, as the team keeps telling me, build the world's next great silver mine. So thank you for your time.